We had to say goodbye to Opal this week. You may have already seen my post on the community tab or on Mastodon. We took all 5 ferrets to the vet about a week and a half ago for them to get their rabies shots. And Opal has been having weakness in her back legs for quite a while, like a couple years at this point. But every time the vets run blood work, they don't really find anything major. They're like, oh, well, her glucose is a little bit low, but it's not so low that we're super worried about it. But this last time that we went, we had to go to a new vet because literally every vet in the area that used to see ferrets no longer sees ferrets except one. So we have one option for vets now. And he was like, well, confirming a diagnosis of insulinoma is invasive and expensive, whereas just treating insulinoma is inexpensive and non-invasive. So I think we should just start treating Opal as if she has insulinoma. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And he's like, okay, I'll have to call you back about the medication. I'll let you know when that's ready. So the appointment was on Wednesday. We talked to him on Thursday about her blood test results. And then I didn't hear anything on Friday or, of course, over the weekend. So on Monday, I called the vet and said, hey, is her prescription ready? And so the receptionist went and looked and she's like, oh, yeah, it's here. You can come get it. But by then, like, it was after lunch on that Monday. And so we didn't have access. Like, my husband was at work and he had already come home for lunch and run another errand and gone back to work. So it was Tuesday before he could pick up the medication. So he got the medication on Tuesday, and then Tuesday evening we went and got Opal out of the ferret room to give her the medication, and she was limp and unresponsive. So now she has had very brief moments like that before, where she'd like, at one point I was holding her on my arm, and she suddenly went very still, and she actually pooped and peed on my arm, and then she just snapped right back out of it. So I was hoping that maybe this would just be another really small episode like that. But then when she didn't snap out of it in a couple of minutes, we started putting honey under her cheek, on her gums, to try and bring her blood sugar back up. I called all of the emergency vets in the area. None of them will see ferrets. So when the one vet that still sees ferrets in the area opened in the morning, I called and said, hey, we really, really need to get Opal in today to see the vet. And they couldn't get us in until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And come noon, Opal had been having, I don't know if they count as seizures. She was mostly just not moving, but then she would start curling to one side, like really strong. So it's like a cramp or whatever. So I guess that's probably a seizure. But then by about noon on Wednesday, she was having like severe seizures where she was convulsing. And like, no matter how much honey we were giving her, it wasn't, keep in mind this started at like 10 o'clock the previous night. And so here we are at noon the next day. And I called the vet and I'm like, no, we really, really, really need to get Opal in immediately. And she's like, okay, well, the doctor's at lunch. He'll be back at 2 o'clock. And so I showed up right before 2, before the vet came back from lunch. And he saw her. And as soon as he walked in, he was like, oh. And he was immediately trying to prepare me for euthanasia. And he's like, well, he's like, has she moved under her own power at all since last night? And I said, no, not really. And he said, okay, well, we'll put intravenous steroids and we'll give her some glucose and we'll try to see if she bounces back. And so they did that for a couple of hours, but she never came out of a stupor. So we made the decision to euthanize her. At the end, we did bring Opal's body back so that the other ferrets could see that she had passed and not just wonder where she had gone. So that's the news. I am still working my way through the footage that I had already recorded. So you will still see Opal show up in some videos from time to time. Additionally, when I get caught up to where I currently, like to now, with the videos that I have recorded, I'm actually going to have to like backtrack because this will be all the videos that I recorded on my phone, which have one naming scheme. And then when I get to the end of that, there are the videos that I recorded on like my nice camera that has a completely different naming scheme. So that'll like kind of set me back in some time and then I'll have to come forward again. So there are definitely going to be more videos of Opal here and there. Yeah, so that's the news. Okay. Is she soiled? Do we need to wash her? No, I think they did that.
Should I get him?
No, he's okay.
Hey.
It's okay, she's gone.
Bully.